All right, good evening. I'm just giving it a second to circulate over platforms. And I see that I'm going to have to do one additional platform. All right, one additional. Okay. And okay. All right, live across various platforms now, including TikTok, which you might see me pivot to look that way, Facebook Live, um, Instagram Live, Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And I hope that you will click share and tag someone to let them know we are live. Thank you, Miranda Robinson. I think that's how I pronounce that last name. It's spelled a little different. Lee. And all right. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just looking across platforms to make sure we're going everywhere we need to be. All right. Let's see. Okay. Looks like we are on some places. Right. Mhm. All right. Thank you for joining, Lee G. And others. Just drop in the comments a hello wherever you are across platforms. I'm just trying to click and share, tag some folks to join us. It's Cyber Monday. I'm looking at two cameras. So if you see me pivot, it's only because I'm trying to do two cameras versus the one, because TikTok will not let me be great. All right. So I'm going to see if it will let me do what I need to do. And let me be great. Okay. I want to be great. I want to be great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate all of you. Okay. So let me share some. All right. I'm going to keep trying to share. Tina, Bina, Cassie, Sky on TikTok. Others on other platforms, just drop in the comments. Hello. That's the only way I can see you is as it drops comments. Hamilton Braid, thank you so much. I hope that you will click share and tag some folks to join us. All right. So it's Cyber Monday. And what I decided for Cyber Monday is that I was going to make an opportunity for those of you that are in one of three categories to have a tool and resource that will help you maybe all year long. You've been applying for positions, or you've been what they're now characterizing as job hugging. You're holding on to a job because the market is tough, but you really would rather prepare yourself to move. You're hanging in with that job, but it's not the place that you feel like you're doing meaningful work. Doesn't drive you to want to get up out of the bed except to pay the check, to get the check, to pay your bills. So you are unhappily employed. That's one of the groupings. Unhappily employed. All right. You don't have to say that's me if you don't want your employer to see this later, right? I don't think that they will, but just in case. Unhappily employed. Then there are those of you that are underemployed. Your skill level is here. Uh-oh. Oh, it looked like I was trying to jump there for a second. Your skill level is here, but your pay is here. The hours that you want to work are here, but you're actually working these hours. So either you're working less hours than you want, or you're doing skills below where you want, or you're being paid below where your value is on the market. Notice I didn't say necessarily the value that you are. No one's ever going to pay you the full value that you are. Okay. Unless it's your own business. And we can talk about that if that's your interest. And then there are those of you that are unemployed. You do not have gainful employment. You're in between jobs. You took some time off to care for a loved one. You took some time off for mental wellness, health and wellness, and you're not currently working. So you're either unhappily employed, underemployed, or unemployed. That's who I'm talking to. Unhappily employed, underemployed, or unemployed. That's who I'm hoping to talk to, because I've got a Cyber Monday opportunity for you, and you should invest in yourself quickly. All right. Thank you, Mr. Abadi. Those that are joining over there on TikTok and other platforms, just drop in the comments so that I will know who you are. And I'd love to say hello. So that's why I'm doing that. I want to share to a few other places, but my other phone is not cooperating with me. I don't know what that is or why that is, but for some reason it's not cooperating. So, okay. Doesn't let me do what I want to do. All right. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you all for joining. It's giving me a hard time right now. Okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to be just fine. Okay. All right. We're going to be just fine. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for your patience. I'm just trying to make sure all platforms, I'm having a little trouble with the visibility on one of them, but I think we're going to be just fine. All righty. I'll keep it moving. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you for joining. Kathy Baker, Linda Thomas, thank you so much on TikTok. And if you're on another platform, I can't really see unless you comment, where you are, who you are. So want to make sure we're all good. Trying to make sure Instagram is okay. Getting challenges there. Boy, we're having trouble today, aren't we? Okay. We will not be deterred. All right. And so those of you that are underemployed, unemployed, unhappily employed, I'm happy to come on and share with you. I'm Marcus Holmes, the HR Passion Guy, 27 years in human resources across many organizations, primarily one recently in the last 23 years. So a couple of different organizations before that. And I am privileged. It's my pleasure, is what I think I was starting to say, to sit on the Experts Council for Hacking HR, which is a global HR organization. I am also certified by the Human Resources Certification Institute and the Society of Human Resources Management, a member of the Public Service Health Human Resources Administration, and just pleased to be here with you today. And I have literally seen tens of thousands of resumes, thousands of interviews, hundreds of job fairs. And listen, I want to tell you some truth about this job market. As you're coming on in and clicking share and tapping the screen, which I need you to do, because I see you joining, Jaquita and Freddie B. Thank you so much. Come on, don't be shy. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what your industry is, what your title is. Because tonight I want to talk to you a bit about how to get hired, actually hired, as we're closing out 2025 and going into 2026. I won't inundate you with theory or fluff. I'm not going to try to be a TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn guru telling you just be confident, though confidence is important. What I want to do is give you some real truth about why people are getting stuck. Some people are hugging on to a job, and some people are stuck in fear and stuck in so many ways, right? Talk to you a little bit about why the job market feels broken, right? And why people with less experience than you are getting hired over you. Anybody experience that? Where someone with less experience, they told you, hey, we're going to try you in this position while we interview, and they brought in somebody with less experience than you. And before we go any further, I want to settle something right now. The job market is not dead. The job market is not dead. It may feel dry as a freshly changed baby. It's not dead. It's selective. It is returned to an employer's market versus the candidate's market, right? And it's strategic. And it is rewarding those who are intentional rather than those who throw 300 applications at the wall hoping that something sticks. And if you're here tonight and you're not trying to be another random resume in a stack of 400 or 4,000, and you're underemployed, unemployed, or unhappily employed, you're trying to be that candidate, the one who shows up with clarity, value, and powerful stories, then I want to introduce you to an opportunity, to a blueprint for job offers, because it's Cyber Monday, and everything that I'm going to talk about, most of what I will talk about will be bundled, and you can get it in the Stan Store. But tonight, I want to help you understand some things. I want to help you understand this. Thank you so much, Journey Timber, for liking the live over there. Thank you so much at TikTok, and I hope others on other platforms will start sending hearts and lives, likes. You know how different platforms have different things, so I'm gonna work through that. I want to help you understand this. I want you to hear me clearly. Are you listening? You are not unqualified. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not invisible. You've just been without strategy. And that we can fix. Now, I want you to just let me know if you will participate in this being interactive. I'd appreciate it. And drop in the chat, how many jobs did you apply to last month? How many jobs did you apply to last month? Just drop it in the chat. That way I can see. I want to get you involved in the dialogue. Journey Timber is saying 3. Okay. All right. And I'm putting that Stan Store link in the corner just so that you can have it for later, tuck it in for later. How many jobs did you apply to last month? Okay. Journey Timber said 3K. Good evening, W171. Hello. She says 10 plus. All right. Looking in the comments. Angela Hutchins Malloy. Hey, Angela Hutchins Malloy. She said none. Okay. All right. Anyone else want to give you an opportunity? How many jobs did you apply to last month? Because if the number is higher than 7, really 12 is high number, higher than 7, you're doing it wrong, more likely than not. Most people don't need more applications. They need better positioning. Okay. And if you stay with me a little bit tonight, I'm going to try to break all of that down for you if you are unemployed, underemployed, or unhappily employed. Okay. If you're doing 30, 40, 50 applications, you're doing far too many applications, and it's probably telling a little bit about where you are in your mindset. And I know you're saying, but HR Passion Guy, I need a job. I got bills to pay. But HR Passion Guy, isn't it logical that the more applications I submit, the more likely I'm going to get a hit? I mean, that sounds perfectly reasonable, doesn't it? It would make sense that your odds, like playing the lottery, although we're not playing the lottery here, right? Because you are the prize. You just don't know it, right? We're not playing the lottery. What we're doing is being strategic, but it makes sense. If I want to get a job, if I send 100 applications versus 10, I might get more results. The challenge with that is that unless you're sending 100 different resumes, because these are 100 different jobs, you're lessening your chance when you blanket apply. We call it spray and pray. Now, I'm a man of faith, so I want you to pray. Keep that part in there, right? Keep that part in there. All right? Pray and spray. Pray. Please pray. But I want you to be strategic about where you are applying to. Okay? Because I know sometimes we get desperate. And again, that's mindset. And you say, I'm going to get a job and I don't care where I work. Now, you don't even believe that. And if you do, we got to talk more, right? We need a one-on-one. You do not want to just work anywhere. Trust the HR Passion Guy on this. There are places that are not for you. I don't care what they put on the price tag. I don't care how they wrap it up with a bow. In probably less than 12 months, you're going to be saying, I hate it here. So you don't want to just apply everywhere. You don't need more applications. You got to position yourself better. Okay? And because of Cyber Monday, I decided to come on to talk. Oh, hey, there's another HR professional, Darcy Sanders. Thank you so much. Joy Boniford, thank you so much for coming through. Tag somebody who you know is underemployed, unemployed, or unhappily employed, because we want to talk a little bit about this concept of being more strategic when you apply. And you're like, it's a full-time job. It could be a part-time job to get the job that you want. It could take more than 10 minutes in an application, okay? Because what you really want to do is utilize the best of who you are to connect with who they are. And believe you me, they are looking for you. They just can't see you. Now that sounds crazy, doesn't it? You're not invisible, you're blurred. You blur in to everything else and everybody else that's out there. And a lot of organizations are looking for what we call purple unicorns. They're looking for just that special skill set, just that special experience, just that special behaviors and competencies and personalities, just that special, right? And you have it, but you blurred it. Your resume, which is one of the first things that you're going to do and work on, one of the first things, not the, is your story. And so you must tell your resume in their words. It's your story, but you must use their words. Hearing that, then you realize you can't have one resume to send everywhere, because your story isn't going to resonate with the same or different places in the same way, because they have different core competencies. They have different behaviors and skills and motivations that help to drive their business outcomes, right? They have different cultures. They have different values, right? And so you want to speak to them in a way that resonates with them. You need to resonate with them as much as they resonate with you. That's why I say you be discreet in who you apply to. You have discretion, because not every company should resonate with you. There are places that do not align with who you are, and so you should not apply just to see. No, you're not in the just to see business. You're getting to a position that's going to give you some motivation for getting up in the morning. Your ilgike, your as the Japanese say, the thing that awakens you in the morning, that brings meaning to your life. That is the work that you should be doing. So one of the first things that you have to do is you have to take a look at what I call your power. Your power is your knowledge, skills, abilities, behaviors, and motivations. What are those things that you're really good at? Maybe it's problem solving. Maybe you're really good at development work. Like a developer develops tech stacks and tech skills, things of that nature, right? Maybe you're a great accountant. You're great with numbers, right? Maybe you work well with teams. You work well as a leader. What is your power? Okay. And then what is your passion? That thing that gets you up in the morning, making a difference, having huge impact, helping people, listening to music, critiquing things, coaching people. What gets your adrenaline pumping? What gets the goosebumps happening on you? When your power and your passion intersect, this space here is where your purpose is. So what I want you to do is find out, what are the jobs, what are the careers, what are the things where your power and your passion intersect? What are the things you could do every day, not for free, but you would want to do them for free, and you're actually good at doing them? And you are always trying to improve to get better at them. That's where I'm kind of going backwards, because I said you got to get your resume, but before you get your resume, you need to research to see where you will be. And before to see who you will be, before you're a human doing, you're a human being. One that is awesome and amazing, talented and gifted in some area. And unless you find out what that area is, you won't be able to sell it to me. You must have some confidence in who you are and what you bring, the value that you bring. Okay? So important. You must. Okay? You must. Give me some likes or loves if that's making sense to you. I'm hoping that it is. I'm just checking across platforms. I see some folks there. Think I'm still struggling with my Instagram. I certainly hope that my Instagram folks, well, I don't mean to leave you behind. Kay says, other than providing empathy, clear communication, and strategic goal setting, that's great. Now I want to know what your, when you say skills and motivations, what are the skills of motivation to be in executive positions? It's not, so Kay, you're not looking to be in an executive position. You know why? Because executives get in executive positions. You're trying to find out, what are the skills that you possess? That's where I want you to start. I want you to say, I love that you got an aspiration. I want to be in an executive position. Normally, executives get executive positions. What you have to do is say, what do I possess? It's a skills inventory. And what am I motivated to do with those skills? And what have I accomplished by using those skills? That's where I want you to start. Instead of saying, okay, I want this high paying job. How do I get it? Well, what do you have? Because that's where you need to start. Okay. You got to start there. All right. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it didn't, because I want to make sure I do answer your question. All right. Very important that in that first, I'll go back and repeat it. You got to first know what value you bring, to Kay's point. Don't go looking for the executive position until you know that you're the executive, right? All right. Who are you as a human being? All right. Identify your power and your passion and where they intersect, and find 5 to 7 companies that resonate with this. Okay. Where your power and your passions cross. Okay. And those are the ones you're going to research. Okay. You're going to research those. Okay. And if there's a blueprint that if you decide that you want, there's going to be a link later, and there's a link in the bio, and you can get that today. Everything that's in the Stand store has been specially priced until midnight. The pumpkin the carriage returns to a pumpkin, or whatever, however the story goes, whatever they say. All right. I want to talk to you a little bit about the lies you've been told about job searching. Okay. Keep tapping the screen. Thank you so much, Journey Timber. I appreciate it. And on other platforms, give me some likes. It helps to drive the engagement. Share it with someone who is underemployed, unemployed, or unhappily employed. Some people have been set up to fail unintentionally, and sometimes it's because some outdated advice. I talked about one of them. Thank you for those likes over there on Facebook. Thank you so much. Number one is that just apply to more jobs. No. You can get discouraged that way because more applications can mean more rejection. It can mean more burnout. It could be worse results. Because really, I'm going to tell you this. Hiring managers, recruiters, we don't reward more volume. We reward value. Okay? That's the lie number one. Just put out more. Eventually, somebody will get it. Absolutely not. Put out more value, more quality applications and proposals, depending on how you're asked to apply, okay? Lie number two, your resume needs to be perfect. And you can fluff it. Please let me tell you, resumes don't get you hired. They really don't. They get you seen. They get the blur to be removed. Your stories, your positioning, your pitch, those get you hired because those are the ones you use for them to know, like, and trust you enough to give you an offer. Okay? So that's lie number two. You don't need a perfect resume. It doesn't even have to be perfectly formatted. It'll be nice, but normally it's going into an applicant tracking system that's been built with some logic to screen you out unless you meet certain, what we call MEQs, minimum entrance qualifications. Okay? So you have to format it like it's going through a processing system. Okay? And when I say your resume is your story, you must tell it well in their words. It's because their words are keywords that you must have in your resume. Now, let me give the caveat here. You cannot use keywords from a website, a job posting, a job description, or job specification if you don't possess the skills, knowledge, and ability that go with those keywords. Leave them off your resume. Do not put fluff because fluff can get you flagged. Okay? Be authentically who you are. And if there is a skills gap, number one, I tell people, if you have 65% really of what they're looking for in a job, you should apply. That's right. You should apply. Now, when I say that, please hear me say, if they're asking you for 5 to 7 years of human resources experience, you can't have 0. But you got other things. No, you got to have 65% of what they're asking for, 65% of those 5 to 7 years. So you got to have what they're asking for at the rate of 65% at least. If you do, you should apply. If you don't, you should investigate to see whether or not you have allied or transferable skills. You want to learn about that, you need to jump on a webinar with me because I'll help you use tools like Claude and ChatGPT to evaluate whether or not there's a skills gap that you actually can fill and close up based on how you write that resume, okay? But you must first understand that if you got 65%, apply. If you got 80%, go in ready to negotiate. If you have 100%, people don't like to hear this. It scares some employers because they don't think you're going to stay. So they may try to offer you high in the hopes that you will, or they may tell you those words, you're overqualified. You're not overqualified, really, in most instances. They are afraid that you will leave. And you might. Think about it. If you're going to a job and you've done all of it before, unless it's a super great place to work and it really matches you, you may get bored. You may soon want your boss's job and they're not ready to leave, right? So you have to be careful and saying, oh, I got 100%. Be prepared to show them that you're committed to the organization, that you will commit for some time, because that may be their concern. Okay. Lie number 3, it's a numbers game, right? Now, maybe in 2015, 2005, not in the era of ATS systems. Okay. There was a time that people tried to have a certain number of candidates or a certain number of people to make interviews so that it appeared that they were being fair. Not anymore. They aren't doing that. Okay. And lie number 4, thank you for joining. Thank you for keep hitting those likes. Thank you for 3,600 likes over there on TikTok. I appreciate it. Let's get that up. Facebook, let's not be outdone over here. Lie number 4, if you meet the qualifications, you're automatically going to get an interview. Not true. The qualified don't always get picked, but most times the positioned do. You got to position yourself. It's a tough market. Okay. And number 5, if you didn't hear back, they weren't interested. Not true. Sometimes the person who applied after you was more clear in their resume. They had an interest in you, but somebody else seemed to be more interesting, which is why you have to work at positioning. Be honest. Drop in the comments yes if you've been told any of those lies. And if you haven't, say, wow, that's new. Chances are you have, and that's why you're still here. And look, I'm not judging. You've been trying to do the best you could with the info that you have. Journey, thank you for being so honest. Thank you so much. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you. Keep it going. You've been trying to do the very best you can with the info you have, and that makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? Okay. Let me get some likes over on that Facebook side. I can't tell if Instagram is going. I'm hoping YouTube is. We're going to keep it rolling. Thank you so much for your patience with me as we keep it rolling. I just want to help you win. And Cyber Monday, I thought, let me throw in a special deal for you. All right. Thank you, Tawana Man and Kamal Williams. Thank you so much. Click share, tag some people, get those like they're doing on TikTok. They're tapping the screen, and I hope you, thank you so much. Tap the screen. Thank you so much. Job searching always did, but now it really does require strategy. And that's one of the reasons why I built, especially for you, a 30, 60, 90-day job offer blueprint. A system that I've used with many that I've coached to help them get interviews, some of them in the same day. Roger got an interview 30 minutes after. And I've had people get it in 1 day, 7 days, 20 days, different amount of days. Okay. Because we're not doing chaos applications just in a frenzy. We're doing strategic domination of our field or chosen field. And that will be available to you in the link tonight, only at the price where it is for Cyber Monday. Okay. So I talked about the number of positions I want you to apply for, and I got this kind of 5x5 strategy that I want you to consider, because it's literally changed people's positioning. Now, the full strategy is inside the blueprint. So you got to keep, you got to get the blueprint, but I'll give you some of the mindset behind it. Most people apply to hundreds of jobs. Some people don't even track the jobs they've applied to, right? And they wonder why nothing is landing. Okay. But remember this I will tell you. Every time you apply, you're competing against the same people in the industry, some of which have more confidence. It shows up in their writing, better stories that shows up in the interview to make people feel as if they know them better. They have a plan. They've organized to some degree, and they have clarity about what they're looking for and who they are. So you won't come up as random when you know who you are and what you're looking for. It shows up in everything you do. And so your goal is to target the roles that you can win. 5 roles where your value is immediately clear. 5 roles where you can build momentum. And every time you do that, every single time you're going to get interviews. Because it's not just the market. It is an employer's market. People are being laid off. Some with no notice. I got an email just earlier of someone said, I had no idea I was being let go. I didn't even fathom our industry was being hit. And the market can be volatile. It can be uncertain. It could be VUCA. But it's not simply the market. It's the method. It's the method. Drop yes if you would try a 5 by 5 instead of 100 applications. 5 resumes or applications in 5 business days. Okay? Drop yes. Tamiko Love, thank you for joining us. You'll identify the 5, speak to the 5, brand yourself to the 5, and build a resume for each one that hits like a sledgehammer. Okay? Because you can't write generic and bland. I want a position in the finance industry. You can't write that as an objective. Your proven summary can't be a leader, a proven leader who leads people. It can't be bland. It can't be copy and pasted. It needs to be strategic, targeted, authentic, and on point. Must be, must be. Okay? Before I pivot, hey, Tamiko, before I pivot to talk a little bit about the next section that I want to talk about, I just want to go back in a brief review. Normally, when I am doing a webinar or coaching, and also on that Stand Store, I'm pointing upwards because link in bio, I think bio might be down for wherever you are. I don't know. I'm pointing in all directions. I have a You coaching series, YOU, because it's all about you. How to get to a job offer in 30, 60, or 90 days by being you. There are several modules in that, okay? And I've kind of described them here, and they're in the blueprint, but it's truncated because it's just a blueprint, okay? It's stuff that you're going to have to fill in, but the coaching series talks about you, talks about your mindset as an individual, right? Which is important. You've got to make sure that you know who you are, that you know that you bring value. And I want to ask you, and I want you to be honest with me, do you know that you bring value? Most people say, heck yeah, I know. Do you know what your value is on the market? You should know that. Okay? You should know in your region, in your industry, in the function in which area that you're going to work in. So maybe it's retail and you work in customer service, or it's retail and you work in human resources. It's retail, you work in finance. You follow what I'm saying? You got to know if you're in the Midwest working in retail and it's in finance, does the South pay that same? Is the South salary the same average or median, right? Is the West, do they make more in finance out West? So you got to have a sense of where you're working, where the organization is, and where the salary ranges or bands are, where they see the money that you would be worth on the market. You got to be able to know that, okay? And I want to know, do you know what you're worth? Not how much, you're worth $1 gazillion. I know that. but on the market, they're only going to pay you $75,000 for superior customer service skills. You follow what I'm saying? And in some industries, manufacturing customer service may not make as much as in the subprime market, let's just say, where credit acceptance and organizations like that, they have a different, they may pay a commission based on the customer service, right? So you got to know those factoids. You got to know who you are and the value that you bring. You must know your power and your passion and where they intersect so you can find your purpose. And you must find organizations. I keep doing this because that's where the purpose is, where these two intersect. And you must find organizations that align with your purpose, or whose vision and mission and values align with who you are. All right. I don't want that to be missed. I'm going forward to talk a little bit about stories. Remember I said your resume is your story. You must tell it well in their words. Well, listen. Let's say that you know who you are, you've done your resume and research, and you get an interview. Okay? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Because the interview, the purpose of the interview is for you to appear as their peer so much so that they know, like, and trust you enough to extend an offer to you. That's your goal with the interview. Now, before you get to the interview, there is a net worth out of your network section that's in the blueprint. I'm going to jump ahead right now and talk to you about the power of the story. And before I get right to the power of the story, because it is important that you go into that interview and tell powerful stories, not stories like when we grew up, story meant lie. I don't mean lies. But it's important that once you get that call, when you send a resume or application, and you have to sign up for most of these portals these days, and they say, they send you an email, say, we acknowledge your app, and if we're interested, we'll reach out to you. Not that. That's not a hit. If they send you an email and say, someone's looking at your resume, that's not a hit. A hit is when they call you or email you or text you for an interview. Okay? I want you to understand this interview process a little better, because it's going to help you navigate things with a little bit more positioning and leverage. Okay? They call you and say, Marcus, you sound amazing. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about this position. Normally, the phone screen is the first interview. And what they're looking for in the phone screen are gaps. You said 3 to 5 years. Let me hear you articulate it. You said you worked at this company. Let me see if there is a reason why you left there. Let me see what I can pull. They're looking for gaps. So you need to be able to fill gaps and understand the process. One of the things that people get disenchanted with, and I'm not mad at you, is you don't understand the process, the length of the process, and you have a chance to clarify that up front. So you get on the phone with all of the energy that you can muster, because energy is important in every interview setting. I'm so glad that you called me. I am really hoping for an opportunity to work with your organization. It really feels like a great fit. Now, I'm just interested to know, how soon are you planning to hire? Will that be 30 days, 45 days? Because I'm really looking to get into a next position, and I'm actively looking. You want to put the recruiter on notice that you're looking and that you have expectations. Okay? And they're going to say, that they're hemming and hawing. They don't know. But always in the back of your mind, find out when that posting date opened. Because if that posting date is older than 45 days, it normally means 1, they're ready to hire, or 2, their process is broken. You see posting dates 80 days, 90 days old, it typically isn't because they can't find anybody. The process is broken. So be aware that you can position yourself where they're desperate to get somebody after 90 days. You put a slight pressure on and say, I'm looking to have an offer in 40 days. Is that realistic? I don't want us to waste each other's time. They're really interested in you. They're going to say, hey, we're going to move this process along. Wonderful. How many rounds of interviews or assessments are there? If they're telling you more than 3, something's wrong with their process. They should be able to get to an offer in 3 rounds. If they cannot, or they add rounds as you go, be prepared, unless you really want to be there, to gracefully bow out, to put pressure back on them. Hey, we talked at the beginning of the process and it was 3 rounds. Is there any reason why we're going to a 4th? Well, we reserve the right to add rounds, I understand, and I reserve the right to bow out gracefully. I really have invested time, and I don't want 4 to turn into 5. How close to an offer are we? You have every right to ask that, because it shows them, I'm going to teach you how to treat me. Okay? Some say that feels a little aggressive. It should be. When people don't keep their word, you have the right to hold them to it. To say, well, wait a minute, this is longer. Okay, so you find out, they say, oh, our average time to fill is 50 days. You say, oh, 50 days is long. You don't say that to them, but it is. You say, okay, all right. So you think a person will have an offer in hand by that time. Okay. And I just want to make sure, because, I saw these posting and it had salary information or it didn't. Just want to make sure we're in the same ballpark. Got that. All right. Can you tell me about the rounds? Well, it's rounds of interview. Is it going to be a technical interview, behavioral interview, personality interview, writing samples? You want all that information up front. If it's behavioral, which we're going to talk about in 1 second, you're going to prepare differently than you will for a technical interview. Okay? All right. If it is a writing sample or presentation, be very careful. If they want you to come or virtually present for an hour, your prep time is going to at least be twice as much. So now you're 3 hours in. And you say, I'm happy to make this presentation, for round 3. And I'm happy to share screen with it. And I'd be happy to provide you a copy of it upon offer. Now that's going to piss them off because their process is broken a little bit. Because they shouldn't be asking you for work product unless you have put in your resume that you've done some work and you have some work to display as a part of your work record. But to ask you to come and present, even for high-level positions, is asking you for proprietary information. And that's how you want to do that. All right. They shouldn't have that kind of round, but sometimes people do. All right. So I'm going to say almost upward of 87% of interviews or assessments have some component that's behavioral. It's where you're asked questions that are designed to measure your competency, the combination of skills that you have and behaviors that you've evidenced to achieve business outcomes. It's founded on the principle that what you have done in the past is a great predictor of what you will do in the future. And competencies could be decision making. It could be problem solving, teamwork. It could be critical thinking. Okay. Those require a set of skills and behaviors to demonstrate that you are at a working knowledge, mastery, or excellent level in that competency. Okay. So resumes get you seen, and stories, especially behavioral interviews, get you hired, because what you do is get them to know, like, and trust you enough to extend an offer. Okay. And I teach something different than what is the most recognized format, which is STAR. It's called, the STAR method is situation, task, action, and result. When you're asked a behavioral question, you will be asked to respond in the STAR method. No worries. Mine is very close to it. Mine is based on the SOAR method, SOAR, very similar. Situation, obstacle, action and result. Here's why. When you're telling a story and you position yourself as having to overcome something, it automatically sits you in a seat of power and positions you to be the heroine in that story. And the better you get at storytelling, you can put the O and make it O sore so that you create the obstacle almost as a cliffhanger to entice them to hear the rest of the story. Okay. So they said, tell me about a time when you had to make a split-second decision. What did you do and what happened? You can say, thanks for that question. I think I'm going to tell you about the time that I saved us, one of our top customers. I kept us from losing $1 million account. Now, wait a minute. $1 million? You saved $1 million? They want to hear, is this story fluff? Is it real? And so they start to sit up and lean in. That was your obstacle that you kind of put as a cliffhanger in just a few seconds to reel them in. Then you tell them the situation. You tell them the obstacle stated. You tell them the actions you took and what the results were. Okay? The full method is inside the blueprint. And I'll even take you further that if you just have an interview coming up, you can go to the Stan Store link. And in that, on that page, in that Stan Store is a product called the Interview. The Interview is a tool that I designed that if you upload a few pieces of information, your resume, the job spec or job posting, and answer a couple quick questions, I will send to you in minutes 5 to 7 questions that will be on that behavioral interview, along with the 5 to 7 ways in which you should respond based on your resume, and 5 additional questions that you can ask them at the end of the interview. Okay. So, but that's based on that SOAR method, because the hiring managers don't always remember the skills. They typically remember the moments, the people, the impact, the emotion, the feeling, the resilience. So you walk into that interview from your accomplishment record. If you don't have one of those, you should reach out to me with 7 different types of stories. Stories around leadership, conflict resolution, teamwork, working and deciding under pressure, about owning mistakes or correcting them, about ownership for projects, about innovation. Okay. And you go with different stories from the different experiences. So you don't want to take one story and tell it across different competencies. You want to use different stories so that they feel like they're getting the full perspective, the full spectrum of who you are. And when you do that from an authentic place, people open up to you because they feel your vulnerability. And that is what you want to appear as, their peer, as someone they can see working next to them, someone they can see on Teams calls all day, someone they can trust with their customers, someone they can talk to around the water cooler, someone they could have lunch with, someone that they can have conflict and get through it with. They need to envision you being in their organization. So you've got to build pretty quickly the know, like, and trust. And these stories help to show a consistent person throughout. Okay. A lot of times I've been in interviews and people showed up with 0. They just showed up thinking, I'm just going to respond on the spot. And that they did. And they were on the spot. But when you walk in with your stories that are aligned with that job, you're unstoppable and unforgettable and most often undeniable. Okay? Just to make sure you're tracking with me, drop your strongest skill or competency in the chat. Strongest skill or competency. And this is how these same things I've used to help people get job offers in under 30 days. In some ways, they did improve and became better, but mostly because they learned how to tell better stories. And remember, stories in my mind sounds like what we said when we were kids. We couldn't use the word LIE. See, I'm spelling it. I mean true stories. Okay? True stories. Another part I think that's important, I'm going to check across platforms. Thank you, Journey, for liking the live. Thank you for 6.9K live hearts and likes over there. I appreciate you all. I hope that you will tap the screen. If you know a friend who is unemployed, underemployed, or unhappily employed, I would love for you to click share and tag them so that we can help them get to their next level. Okay? Want to make sure I'm just checking across platforms, so give me 1 second. All right. Thank you so much. All right, I gotta take that off. Got some folks on Twitch. We got to get you coming together. I still can't see LinkedIn, so I'm sorry, not LinkedIn. I can't see Instagram, so I'm sorry if I'm not tracking with you over there. I'm not seeing your comments, but as I see people join the room, I try to say hello, but I can't see it here, Instagram, so I apologize for that. I just want you to know how important it is to me that you would stop through. And so we talked a little bit about the interview, which also is in this blueprint. Want to talk a little bit about money. A lot of people are underselling themselves, undervaluating themselves, and most importantly, under negotiating. And people who are not comfortable with those might feel like you have to be rude or arrogant and that you should be pensive. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to be arrogant. You don't need to be nervous. What you need is a framework, a clear, calm, confident, repeatable framework that says, I know my value. Here's the truth. I don't know a colleague or an organization that I've ever worked with that does not expect you to negotiate. Now, they may be hoping that you don't or won't, but they expect it. They expect you to give them a counter offer. And they expect that if you have confidence and clarity, that you're going to give them a strong counteroffer. But most people panic. Most people feel desperate. So they grab the first number offered. And listen, if the first number they offer is one that you can live with, you can take it. But if you have a plan and you know what you should be offered, you shouldn't take it. You got to be honest with yourself. What is the salary that you want today? You don't have to drop it in the chat, or you can if you decide. What's the salary that you want? You got to say it. In the life coaching that I'm privileged to do, I have 3 principles. Change your language, change your life, organize your life, and set powerful intentions and go after them. I just want to talk a bit about that first one, because if you change your language, you will change the behaviors that you evidence every day. If you change your language, once the behaviors start to change, the steps you take in life, the direction you take will change. Change the behaviors and steps, you'll change the trajectory of your life, and it will change your life. You know, I was talking to someone, her name is, I'm going to call her Love, because that's the nickname I call her. And she makes these awesome cinnamon rolls, but her day-to-day work is a massage therapist. And she struggled during the pandemic because she's in business for herself, because she was having some problems with her knee and hip, I believe. Trouble standing, bending over for long periods of time doing massages. She went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yes, we can handle the surgery, but you've got to do a few things. You have to slim down, and you got to get your blood glucose down. It was way too high. And my mother was diabetic before me, and her doctor had a really great meal plan, really great reset plan, I'm gonna call it that I shared with Love, and Love began to do it. And there were things in there that you couldn't substitute for the first 30 days of it. And one of the things that you have to do is drink a certain amount of water and do a certain amount of walking. Well, she said, I literally couldn't do the walking. I said, well, if you can walk 1 square in a 2 square game, anybody ever played 2 square, or 3 squares in a 4 square game, you're on your way. Until you can walk all the way down the block, until you can walk around the block, start small where you are. But you have to start to tell yourself, I will do this. Because guess what happens? When you call out into the universe what you will do, your habits and behaviors fight against that, what you're saying. And the one that is more consistent is the one that wins. So if you consistently say, I got to get up and walk, and your body is like, I don't feel like walking, I don't want to walk. The more consistent you are with saying it, the more pressure you put on your body to do it. And the more you say it, your behaviors change. When your behaviors begin to change and you're thinking about it, you start to tell your body to do different things. Your steps change. The decisions you make about what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're doing changes. Ultimately, that changes the direction that your life goes. So I want you to say to yourself, if you're struggling with negotiations of any kind, I want you to write this down or go back and watch this later on your platform if you can watch it. I don't know if TikTok you'll be able to do that, but you can write it down. Say, I deserve better. Whatever it is. Could be a mate. Could be a job. Could be your client base or market share. I deserve better. I deserve more. I deserve better. I deserve more. And after you start to say those things, ask yourself every day, am I accepting less? Am I accepting more? Then begin to define for you what better, what more is. Okay? All right? It's 7:04. And I want to say to you clearly, you deserve to win. You deserve interviews. You deserve opportunities. You deserve a strategy that actually works. Everything I shared tonight was the why. And the blueprint gives you the how. It gives you the step-by-step. It gives you the breakdown. It gives you the story builder. It gives you negotiation. It gives you the email follow-up. It gives you the strategy of how to get to a job offer. And if you want interviews in days, if you want job offers in 30, 60, 90 days, if you want higher pay, get the 30, 60, 90-day job offer blueprint, which is priced for Cyber Monday only. It's a product that I put there for Cyber Monday only, just for those of you who need that blueprint. And at midnight, that price will disappear. Now, The price that it is a steal. It's been marked down significantly because I really believe that we're going into tough times, and tough times requires you to know what you got and know how to use it. And I want to help you. So go get it. It's your moment. It's your season. It's your elevation. I'm so grateful that you rocked with me for a little bit. Those of you that are here and have been here since the beginning, I want to see you inside of the blueprint. I want to see you getting everything you need to build up your confidence, your resume, your networking, your interview mastery. I want to see you win. That's why I designed that blueprint, to help those of you that just needed some outline to follow, because you're all over the place, applying everywhere, not tracking anything. I want to help you organize it in a way that it works for you to get the results that we know that you deserve. Don't you deserve results? Then go get yourself that blueprint. It will do you well. All right, it's 7:07. I'll hang out for a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have about the blueprint or anything relative to your career. If you are underemployed, unemployed, unhappily employed, I'm happy to answer your questions. So I'm going to look across platforms, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. All right. And thank you for joining both on TikTok, where there's 7.6K hearts or likes. They don't tell me the number of likes on Facebook, but you know how that goes. I love all of you there. And I can't see Instagram and YouTube for some reason. So I hope that if you have questions, you will comment, and those should populate there, as well as LinkedIn. I just, I like to see who's here and be able to respond. But forgive me, I'm having, it looks like some difficulty. Everything is not populating in the same place. So I do want to answer any questions that you might have. Where is the blueprint? Great question. For you on TikTok, you go to the link in my bio. That link is my Stan Store link, HR Passion Guy. And as soon as you bring up that link, it's going to probably be the first thing that pops up at you, the 30, 60, 90-day blueprint. Okay, great question. Also there, Journey Timber, is the interview, which I was describing earlier. For if you have an interview already scheduled, you want to get the interview, and here's why. The interview is going to be targeted to that interview, right? It's going to take the interview of you to the interview, right? What's important in that is you already have the job posting or job description, maybe both. You might even have some information about the company, right? You have your resume. You're going to upload those things and answer a few questions, 3, I think. And you're going to take that information, upload it. I'm going to send to you in about 3 to 5 minutes, 5 tops. Almost faster than that, but very quickly. 5 to 7 questions based on that job posting that will be asked in the interview. And not just the questions, the responses, the way that you should respond authentically based on your resume. Okay. So you have 5 to 7 questions plus an additional 5 questions that you can ask at the end of the interview, because you should certainly be asking questions at the end. Okay. You're welcome, Journey Timber. Thank you so much. Sterling 89 has joined. Sharnita has joined on TikTok. Thank you so much for 7.6K likes there. Appreciate you. And those that are joining on Facebook, Lena Brown, because thank you so much for joining. Click share and tag someone who is unemployed, underemployed, or unhappily employed. And if they have any questions, I'll answer those quickly. But we went over the 30, 60, 90-day job offer blueprint. It's available in the Stan Store now, and it's specially marked down today only, Cyber Monday. Okay. All right. Any questions? I want to make sure I can answer any questions that you might have. I want to make some time and space to answer your questions. If you're underemployed, unemployed, or unhappily employed, got a question in general, got a workplace question, got a FMLA question, I'll answer some of those. Got a career question, how to better get along with your boss, your coworkers, how to reset your interests, find your mojo so that you can get into more meaningful work, how to sculpt your current position and get an agreement with your boss. Any questions you have, I'm here to answer. Give you a few more moments. 7:12. All right. Thank you for joining, Benjamin. Thank you so much. I don't know how to pronounce the first name, Benjamin. So if you can phonetically type it out, that'd be great. I like to just acknowledge people when they come in because you absolutely don't have to. Thank you, Journey, for those likes. You absolutely don't have to show up, but I do appreciate it. Now let it cycle through for another minute to answer any questions before I wrap up. All right. Any questions that you have about your career, about workplace, I'm happy to answer those questions for you now. Just checking across platforms, those that I can see. Those that I can't, I hope you'll drop a comment just so I'll know you're there. I can see some folks are okay. All right, so I see that there's some folks on Facebook. If you could just say hello, I love it. And then there are folks on Twitch. I'd love if you would just say hello. And then somebody on YouTube. So I love it that I wish that someone from Instagram or LinkedIn would let me know that they're here, but I don't see you here at all. Of course, I see folks on TikTok because we're looking on two different devices. So I wanted to give it an opportunity. Okay. Thank you so much for those likes over there, for 8,100 likes. Thank you so much over there at TikTok. I appreciate it. And those that are on Facebook, if you can just say hello, if you haven't already. I can't see who's there unless you say something. Well, I can't see who's currently there. I better say that. All right. I want to give it just one more time. One more time. Sterling, hello there. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Thank you for your support. And certainly you all are welcome over there on TikTok if you want to join the club and send a heart me here at the live. I love that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Deathy, thank you for joining. Thank you so much. Right. All right. It's 7:15. I am going to end this live unless I hear in the next moment or so that you've got a question, because I love to answer your questions. I try to do a Q&A segment as often as I can on career Q&A. And if you think that would be of benefit to you, let me know. And I can schedule them across platforms. We'll have to keep working with TikTok. They told me that they have restored my access through Restream, and it did not happen. So that's why I'm on two different devices. I wanted everybody to be in the same device, but I navigate where I can. But I'm happy to answer questions. So if you have questions, how many pages should my resume be? Or you got questions of what should I put on my resume? Or you have questions, how do I get my boss to stop micromanaging me? How do I set boundaries at work when I don't want to be their friends? Any of those questions and all of those, I'm happy to answer. You just put your question in the comments, and that's what I do in career Q&A. Plus, sometimes I allow people to win a free product or service so that they can participate in a round of interviews where I have an interview panel that will interview you. And so all of these things are ways to help you demonstrate your best in these interviews. Sterling says, how to set boundaries with male coworkers when you don't want a close relationship. So Sterling, I think that's a great question, because we teach people how to treat us, right? So I want to ask, was there anything in that boundary, anything that was loose before we set a boundary? Was this a work husband, work wife situation? Is this a situation where you all talk candidly about private things? Okay. So you got to give me a little bit more information, because you have to determine what is the boundary you want to set. And then you have what is called a crucial conversation. And I can walk you through that, maybe one-on-one, but in general, you're going to say, here is what I'm sensing. I'm sensing that you want more in this relationship, and I don't. I want it to just be work. And I just want to set that boundary. Can we have some discussion about it? Journey says, how to create attention-grabbing objectives on resume. Well, I want you to get the blueprint, but I will tell you this. Your resume is your story. You must tell it well, utilizing their words. So the best attention-grabbing objective or professional summary on a resume is going to describe you as the person that they're looking for in their description statement. I gave you that for free, didn't I? Just someone who speaks to me frequently. I'm just being polite, but they might be taking it wrong. Well, then you got to make sure that you're self-aware. Are you taking it wrong? They speak to you. What is that telling you? What is that bringing up for you? If someone speaks to you at the morning, at lunch, in the evening, unless they're being suggestive, unless they're winking, unless it's flirty, what's coming up that makes you feel like their frequency of speech is something wrong? Distracts me from work and makes me uncomfortable. Okay, so there's some other behavior that maybe you're not quite sharing. What makes you uncomfortable? The speaking, the closeness in your space. Are they too close to you? I was just talking to my niece. It was like my daughter, my sweetest, sweetie girl in the whole wide world. And she has apprehension about people being in her space. And some people see her and just want to hug her. And she's like, I'm a hugger, but for the people I know, that's really a personal thing to me. I said, well, you got to kind of be intuitive and watch how people are coming in and say, hi, and keep waving so your hands are in front of you so that they can't come in for the hug. And until they move back, you keep waving. How you doing? So good to see you. Now you're shaking your head forward. You're not doing like, no, don't come at me. You're just shaking your head forward and just doing this, still smiling, and they'll get it. If they don't get it the first time, they'll get it the second time that you do it. And they'll say, I'm a hugger. And you say, but I'm not. That's something I kind of reserve as we get to know each other. You don't mind that, do you? It's okay to be direct and set a firm boundary. Or if someone is flirty, as you say, and they're like, good morning. And you're like, hey, good morning. How you doing? I'm better now. Well, what were you before and why are you better? Oh, I'm just playing with you. Well, I want to get in on the game. I'm not sure I'm following. Why are you better? Oh, I was just, making the day long. So, well, that comment just seems a little off to me. So if you can't explain it, you probably shouldn't say it. Have a good day. See you soon. You're teaching people how to treat you so that they don't slide in little words, because today they'll slide in a little word. Tomorrow they'll brush up against you, right? So you got to set a boundary and say, I want to understand what game we playing. Oh, I'm just jabbing. Okay, I didn't catch it, so I'm trying to figure out what we doing. You know you're my work wife. No, let's be careful. Because I'm not a wife, not yours. We're just working together. Is there something we need to discuss? I'm just playing with you. Okay, well, I just want to make sure you understand. I don't really see that as something you play around with, but I understand where you're coming from. You're setting boundaries. Hope that helps. Let me know if it doesn't, Sterling. Okay, great questions. I'll entertain a few more before I go, if you have them. Okay. Very good. I'm glad it helped. Hello, Rocio. If I pronounced it correctly, if I didn't, I apologize. Rocio on TikTok. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining on YouTube, and thank you for joining on Twitch. More folks have come. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then folks that are on Facebook, thank you so much for joining. I'm Marcus Holmes, the HR Passion Guy. I just wanted to bring some HR passion to go on this Cyber Monday and offer you a sweet deal. Listen, you're going to get a blueprint that a career coach would charge you $500 for. And what I want you to have is something that's going to be budget friendly during the holidays and going to provide you a blueprint to get you going. Okay. All right. If no other questions, I want to bid you a great evening. Inbox me or connect with me, but most of all, go get your 30, 60, 90-day blueprint